This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and Mousefan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and Mousefan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner and the recommended travel planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. So to get a no-obligation quote, just visit www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, October 31st, 2007, and this is episode 329 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgberg from StudioCentral.com. I almost said that's at the wrong site. On the show today, we have Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com and All Ears Now. Welcome, Mike.
Like a grand and miraculous spaceship, our planet has sailed through the universe of time. And for a brief moment, we have been among its many passengers.
It's like I've heard that one before.
Deja vu is the sensation of doing something over again.
Deja vu all over again.
The sensation of doing something over again.
Spaceship Earth, very good. And also on the show today, we have Len Testa, who's the co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
No way.
How's it going, Matt?
That's right. Outstanding. I can't believe we got Len on for the show.
Wow.
And joining us again, still kind of sick, it's Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Mike, you need to get some medicine, dude.
I know. Hopefully the trick-or-treaters outside can bring me some.
Just stay away from stuff that has razor blades.
That's why the doorbell keeps ringing.
That's what it is. And on top of that, today's my 15th wedding anniversary.
Well, happy wedding anniversary. I think one of our listeners call that out last year or something.
Yes, that and my birthday. I'm quite scared.
Well, it's Wednesday, and that means we're going to be answering listener questions. And the first one's coming from Colin Carroll of Hershey, Pennsylvania, who writes, "Greetings, gentlemen. I look forward to seeing you at MouseFest. I know this is pushing it to get an answer before MouseFest, but I'm going to give it a shot. I need your advice. During MouseFest, my daughter and I are scheduled for the breakfast at Kona Cafe with Mr. Scopa and company. We're staying at Scopa Towers and need to know what is the best way to get to Polynesian by 8 a.m. We do not have a car, and I'm concerned that taking the bus to the Magic Kingdom and then taking the monorail to Poly will not get us there in time."
If that's your concern, then I think the cab is your only option. Yeah, I mean it's well, you've got bus, you've got cab.
It's Scopa's rental car.
Your two choices. Oh yeah, sure. Mike can swing out and pick you up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Get a van for that day.
I think that's probably your best option. I really don't think it's going to be much extra work to take the bus. That you could, what could you do? Yeah, you take the bus. The cheapest option is taking the bus to the Magic Kingdom and taking the monorail to.
I'm gonna take the bus to the TTC. You can't take a bus.
No. It doesn't go to the TTC anymore because directly to the park.
That's right.
So you could, and then that's your cheapest option. Your fastest option, and you ever notice that time and money are always at the opposite ends of the spectrum in Walt Disney World? You could, the fastest option is to take the cab.
Yeah.
One note: that event starts at 7:30, not 8 o'clock.
Oh, so you want to be there earlier.
Take the cab because you don't want to leave at 6:30 for that thing.
It's plus, Len, what's it going to cost? $10 for the cab?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, not even that.
Next email is from Sarah, who writes, "Hi, guys. Thanks for providing an informative and entertaining podcast. We're planning a trip to Disney December 15th through the 22nd in 2007, and we're staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge. Are there any rooms that we should request? We booked a Savannah View with bunk beds." Len, do you want to
so the
old book?
So the best view rooms are requesting, so it's a U-shaped building. You want to request the third corridor back from the edges of the U, facing inward towards the Savannah. And I forget what those rooms are, but if you just give them that sort of general guideline, that will work.
Sarah also wants to know if they want to eat breakfast at Boma, do we need an ADR?
Yes.
In a word, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
Great. Next email comes from listener John Maloney of Hershey, Pennsylvania. This is the second from Hershey. Who writes, "Hi, guys. Since I'm a first-time writer, it would be appropriate for me to praise you for your show as well as all of you, but your recent impact on a beautiful late summer afternoon renders me unable to do so. I was playing hooky and golfing with friends on a wonderful afternoon when I was besieged by the echoes in my mind of WDW today, WDW today, and so on. It seems that your recent show describing the catchy nature of your new theme song has invaded my subconscious, and I couldn't put it out of my mind. Each time I try to take a backswing, I'd hear it again. I'm only grateful that I haven't learned the words, or I might hear all the verses reverberating in my cranium as well. Don't get me wrong, it's a great song, but you can always get too much of one thing. It will be with some trepidation that I listen to your next episode as I risk reinfection, but I'm counting on a few days at the World this week to bomb to clear my mind. Thanks for listening to my rant. Keep up the good work, but please keep the humming of your catchy tune to yourselves. You know what, Newell? Mike, I think we need the theme song at the end of the show today.
I think so.
All right. So stay tuned for that. Next email is from Elizabeth of Edmond, Oklahoma, who writes, I want to try the infamous Dole Whip on our upcoming trip to Walt Disney World. Does anyone happen to know how many carbs are in it? I checked on Dev's site, but no info.
Wow, I don't know.
I don't know how many calories. I don't know how many ounces. Whatever it is, it's 20 calories per ounce. I'm not sure about the carbs.
Carbs. It's got to be a lot of sugar, though, right?
Hey, I got an idea.
Yeah.
That website where you can buy this stuff from, it had all the nutrition information on it.
Well, Newell, you can post that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So there goes. So Michael will post the link, and hopefully that will contain the answer. No promises, though.
It probably gives you the nutritional information for like a gallon of Dole Whip, but really, who eats less than that anyway?
Yeah, that's right. So newbies that only have one.
One, exactly. One for each hand. Yeah.
Next email is from Sydney, who writes, we're going to Disney World November 18th through the 24th with a 3.5-year-old. This is our 10th anniversary, and we went for our honeymoon 10 years ago. I've heard a lot about a photography studio in downtown Disney, but I can't find anything out about it. You guys know about I've seen it. It's not so much a studio. It's like one of those art stores, like you see like the Disney art gallery stores in the different parks. If that's the one you're talking about, it's off in the marketplace, and it's really nice. There's some really nice paints. Also, and by really nice, I mean really, really, really expensive. And
what you mean by really, really, really nice?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So I mean, they're nice, but they're also very, very, very expensive. It's one of those places that if you won the lottery and you were trying to spend your millions of money without giving some away to needy family members, that would be a great place to spend it. Sydney also writes, I've also heard that Santa will be at the marketplace and you can take pictures with him. I can't find anything about this either. Do you know anywhere about getting pictures of Santa Claus at downtown Disney?
Isn't there a Christmas store there?
There is. I seem to recall him being there. Like there's like an area set up, kind of like your mall or something. There's like a little area set up.
Yeah.
And
off the top of my head,
I want to say there is, but I've never done it for obvious reasons. I mean, you
can get real good pictures of Santa at the American Adventure, I believe, on the right-hand side of that attraction.
Valid point.
There you go. Next email is from Kevin Peace, who's better known as Movie Buff on WDWToday.com and StudioCentral.com, who's from Flagstaff, Arizona. Writes, my question involves the Magic Year-Wait Park Hopper with expiration. Disney says that the ticket expires 14 days after first use. My question is, if I use the ticket for the first time on December 1st, is the last day of use the 14th or the 15th?
The 15th. So we actually had to test this question out. It's the keyword in the Disney legalese there is from. Days from first use. So the day that you use it is 0 days from its first use. The next day after that is 1 day from its first use, and so on. So we actually had to go test this out in Walt Disney World.
Interesting story about tickets expiring. I bought for Disneyland for my sister who lives in California. I bought her a ticket last year for Hanukkah, and I gave it to her, and the ticket expired over Easter, and she tried to use it in October and this month. So she went to the park. Obviously, the ticket expired. And they said, well, sorry, ma'am, the ticket's expired. You should have used it by this point. So she's ready. She's like, okay, well, I'm here. Let me just buy a new ticket. They're like, no. We can reactivate this ticket for $16.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so it doesn't, I mean, I don't know if that's the case at Walt Disney World, or don't quote me on it, but that was it was interesting to me that it would only cost $16 to reactivate an expired, and it was never used, let me put it that way. It was just a ticket I bought.
Did she use the famous line, do you know who I am? I'm Lou Mangello's sister.
Yeah, I think that's how she got her thing taken care of. Next email's from Aussie John of Sydney, Australia, where it's, hey, Matt, Mike, and Lou. Guys, as we live in Australia.
Oh, not funny.
Guys, as we live in Australia, Walt Disney World planning advice is scarce, and although we have the unofficial Bible, we have a question. We'll be spending 3 weeks in Disney during December 2008. You guys are not slow at responding to emails. People just make this up. So anyway, we want to make this trip a really special one. We're planning to stay at the concierge level at Animal Kingdom for the first week of our trip due to the extra services and safari tours available, then move to an Epcot resort for the final week of Walt Disney World before finally spending our last week at Disneyland's Grand Californian.
Wow.
We're pleased with our accommodation choices for the first and the last weeks of our planned trip, but we need the Mangello magic with the Epcot resort accommodation option. Although we were thinking about staying at the Beach Club, we've been told that December is not a great time of the year to stay there because of the many Beach Club features center around their fantastic pool complex, and the weather will not be favorable enough to enjoy those benefits.
The pool's heated.
It's heated.
I mean, and the thing with December is the weather is
You never
very
know. Yeah,
you just never know. I've been in December where, where it's freezing, and I've been in December where I packed jeans and literally had to go buy shorts because it was that hot.
Yep.
And the pool is heated to 80 degrees, so I've been swimming in February without a problem, and that's a really great pool. I would definitely stay in the pool.
All day.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't. The pool is heated, and Ellen, you're absolutely right. When you're in the pool, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you just got to make that run back to your room afterwards because you're going to freeze. But
and when you're naked, it's just a huge problem. But
John also writes, P.S. As a Mouse Fest event, any chance of seeing you and Lou Mangello fighting it out in a pool of jelly at ESPN? This will be worth the 18-hour flight from Australia alone.
Ooh, I just got a thrill, a chill.
Oh.
Mangello's up for it. Yeah, I'm up. Yeah, the thing is, we've got the throwdown during the half marathon in January, so I hate to have to humiliate the man twice in 2 months, but whatever.
How about mud wrestling?
Mud wrestling.
Or wet T-shirt contest.
That's what we should do with karaoke. We should do a karaoke contest.
Karaoke and wet T-shirt. Yeah.
Next email is from Stephen from Colorado Springs, who writes, I can soak the backseat every time on Splash Mountain without getting myself very wet. I'm 230 pounds, depending on how many Mickey bars I consume. As long as I am the heaviest person, I sit in the front right. The nose digs in with the water and splashes lots of water, rebounding off the sides, soaking the back seat. To avoid getting myself wet, I lean forward and rest my head on my arms against the rest, kind of like the airline crash position. This works particularly well. I know this works particularly well with the slight framed Taurus. Insert evil laugh here. Very nice.
That's funny.
Next email is from Dave Riccione of Niagara Falls, New York. Hello, everybody.
Niagara Falls. Slowly I turned.
Oh, Niagara.
No one gets that.
First, let me say I really enjoy your podcast. Wow, I bet you never heard that one before. It was really nice meeting all of you at Magic Meets in July. I have a question about Mission Space. During my last trip in October 2006, I rode Mission Space. I chickened out and went for the green team, the less intense ride. Next time I go to Walt Disney World, I want to ride the real version. How intense is it? Can you compare it to any of the rides in the park? I've gone on Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, and yes, even Dinosaur. Sorry, Matt.
It's a lot like Star Tours or the old Body Wars attraction in that it's a simulator, and unless you're really good about having your unless you can handle the fact that occasionally what your body's feeling isn't what your eyes are seeing, which is always what makes me sick on simulators, you'll have problems with it. I get a headache every time I go on it.
I mean, obviously he's been on. Obviously, he rode the green team before, so you obviously know what you're setting yourself up for in terms of the atmosphere, if you will.
Right.
The thing is, I mean, it's the launch in the beginning is the most intense of the whole thing, followed by the loop around the moon and the landing on Mars. That's really the most intense. I've ridden it a lot of times, and each time I've ridden it, I found it's easier and easier to deal with. The first time I was mildly bothered by it during launch, but it really didn't faze me at all. I don't know. It's certainly more intense than any other attraction in terms of the G-forces you're going to feel. I think it's fun. But then again, I think Dinosaur is scary, so take that as you will. I would try it. I think if you're free from health problems, why not go take it? Take a risk, enjoy it. Next email is from Clark from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who writes, Matt, Mike, Len, and Mike, we're getting set for our trip soon to Walt Disney World, and have a question about when to order the Disney Experience card. Never
Welcome
mind.
back.
We're answering it. I ordered and have received my annual pass, but don't know when I should put the order in for the Disney Dining Experience card. I know the card is an annual card and understand the to start the contract, the card is received until the activation feature of the annual pass. I want to try and have the DDE to be as concurrent with my annual pass as possible. The official Disney annual pass site says to expect delivery 4 to 6 weeks. Is this your experience? Is that accurate, or should I order closer to my trip?
Wait a minute. Is he ordering an original annual pass, or is
Yes.
he renewing?
An original.
Well, if it's an original, then the clock doesn't start until he uses it, correct?
No, exactly. But he wants to know when to order his Disney Dining Experience card because he wants basically the renewal on both Disney Dining Experience and the annual pass to be basically the same date.
When you call up, I believe it's 4 to 6 weeks for delivery,
Yep.
sometimes 8, and you can actually. When I ordered mine this year, I sort of talked her into sending it to me at a certain time, so you can almost wheel and deal with them on that. But I would say 2 months before your planned trip, I would call and order the Disney Dining Experience. No, certainly not within a month, but I'd say give it at least 2 months, and it's probably going to be within 30 days of the annual pass.
The other thing is I've also noticed is that they really give you a lot of time on the what's it called? The when you actually get the card. They don't start the date obviously when you first get it. They kind of give you a couple of weeks. And the other alternative you might want to consider is ordering it and like right before you leave, telling that obviously it's not going to get to you in time. So what you can do is you ask for a temporary card which you can pick up at Epcot. It's for free. Obviously with the payment of your card, and then when you actually get the card, when you come back, it'll be. Well, I guess he wants to have it on the same date, so I don't know. I mean, you'll get more time out of it.
You lost me halfway through that, but whatever.
when it usually comes, and the expiration date is usually about 52 or 53 or 51. It's either between 51 and 53 weeks from the time I receive it. So they're pretty good about that date. But again, I'd say 6 weeks ahead of your scheduled trip, I would order that.
That reminds me, I don't have a Disney dining card. Darn. I gotta do mine. I wonder if I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try calling calling tomorrow and see what they can do for me.
Next email is from Kelly from Dallas, Texas, who writes, we're going to the world for free dining in September of 2008 and spend our last day at Epcot. We are having lunch at Le Cellier and have to head to the airport, so we'll probably need to use counter service meal for breakfast, preferably in Future World. Are there any places that have counter service meal in Future World? I couldn't find any online. Any suggestions would be welcome. Len, I think you'll back me up on this, Sunshine Seasons.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I actually got this question in my email a couple days ago. And it was Sunshine Seasons, and I'm not sure whether Electric Umbrella still does breakfast, but they did it one time.
It's better anyway. Sunshine Seasons has a great
menu. Yeah,
More
definitely.
variety there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely go there.
Good muffins.
Our final email of the day comes from Cheryl of Westfield, Massachusetts. All right, gentlemen, I have a question about Columbus Day 2008. I assume that the Monday crowds are up because school is out. But how does the holiday affect the weekend? Is there a spike in the crowds on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday too?
Nah, not really. I mean, it's not much. It's minimal because.
Is it? She writes, we're considering a quick weekend away and thought we would get by with one vacation day and the holiday to make it a 4-day weekend. Is it worth it, or will the crowd just be too much?
There's one exception, Len. They have there's a golf classic that they have every October. Is it the Funai Classic or whatever, or something like that?
Yeah.
If the Columbus Day weekend happens to fall on that weekend where they're having that golf tournament, the crowds can be a little heavy. One year I was there when they had it, and it was quite different from the previous year when they had it on another weekend.
Next email is from John Ciarcia, and this is from Mike Scopa. I was listening to your recent podcast, and I heard you make reference to Storyline in New Hampshire and Riverside in Massachusetts. I always assumed you were living the life of a Floridian with the weekly visit to Disney. Where do you presently live, and where do you podcast from?
I live in North Carolina.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Well, John writes also, I live in New Hampshire in the Monadnock, What did
Monadnock.
I like it
Monadnock.
sounds. Felt like it sounds, damn it.
Monadnock.
And I'm very curious of how you're able to stay involved in Disney World from so far away. Well, that would assume that he actually stays in the state.
He's loaded.
Yeah, I wish we had scope of money.
Many phone calls, many emails, many contacts, many visits, many things go into staying in contact. And as my three compadres will attest, that it's not just personal experience that allows us to keep in touch, but we have contacts down there. Every time somebody goes down, we're usually getting emails from them or photographs, things like that.
I think we've all got a team of people who live in the Orlando area who
Exactly.
Josh and Sarah.
Exactly. Just Josh.
We all just use Josh and Sarah.
Yeah, we have a ton of people.
Next email from
Can
Jane.
you believe it? Can you believe it? Last weekend they actually did something on their own and didn't consult me. They went to Fort Lauderdale, and I called them like Saturday morning. I'm like, I need you to go to Disney World Saturday afternoon, and they were in Fort Lauderdale. I was like, can you believe that? That they actually left town without calling me.
How dare they?
I know. Kids.
The nerve.
Kids.
It's today, right?
Next email is from Jamie from Brooklyn, New York, who writes, "Hi guys, I just started listening to your podcast almost a year ago, and I was planning my first trip back to Disney World since I was a child, and first trip to Disney World for my boyfriend. I've continued to listen to the podcast all year due to the Disney withdrawal I've been going through ever since returning from my last trip this past year. Happily, we decided to book a last-minute weekend trip to Orlando eventually. However, we're only planning to do the Disney parks in one day. The rest of the time we'll be checking out the other theme park, which we didn't do last year. As I said, last year was my boyfriend's first trip to Disney World, so we went all out and stayed at the Grand Floridian for 6 nights and spent a lot of time exploring all 4 Disney parks. This year, we're only setting aside one day for Disney. Is it possible to do all 4 parks in one day? It will just be the 2 of us, no children. If we had to pick one to skip, it would be Animal Kingdom, but I'm curious to hear how you would plan on visiting the parks in one day. Thanks in advance. If you happen to answer a question similar to this in a previous episode, I'd appreciate that if you could direct me to that episode.
I guess I would start with Animal Kingdom. You'd start with Animal Kingdom because I would start with Animal Kingdom or whichever park has Extra Magic Hour mornings, and I would pick my 3 top attractions and then move on from there. Hopefully, I would end up in the park that has Extra Magic Hour evenings, and that would be the way to do it. But it would be a long day, and I'd have to limit myself to the number of maybe 3 or 4 attractions in every park.
Yeah, you'd have to do no more than 3 or 4, especially in the Animal Kingdom. You'd have to do essentially Kilimanjaro. You'd have to do the Dinosaur Kilimanjaro Safaris, Expedition Everest, and then bail out.
Yep.
Figure on an hour in transportation between each park.
Wouldn't you guys rather suggest that they just not do 4 parks in one day and maybe do 2 parks in one day or something like that? Wouldn't that be more sensible?
Yeah, but if they want to do 4, that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's a thing.
If I were you, I would just do two parks maybe and enjoy that time rather than be running around and spending more time in the car than anywhere else. Just me. Next email is from Marcel from Germany, who writes, "Hi, for which restaurants would you recommend to make an ADR exactly 180 days in advance? I know about Cinderella's Royal Table, but are there any other restaurants where you'd say it's absolutely necessary?"
Lots of them.
Wow.
Le Cellier to start with.
Yeah, definitely Le Cellier. Foma, I would say the new Japanese restaurant is very, very popular lately.
Liberty Tree Tavern.
Yeah.
For Chef Mickey's. Ohana's.
Chef Mickey's, yeah. Especially Chef Mickey's. Those are the ones that really stand out in our minds in terms of ones you absolutely positively have. There's a lot of popular restaurants, don't get us wrong, but those are the ones that really you need to.
Prime time?
Yeah, prime time to a lesser extent. I'm just saying like that top tier that like you have to when the clock is 180, you got to call,
Yeah.
Next email is from Keith, who writes, "Hey guys, love the show. I'm planning a trip for the weekend of December 14th through the 16th. I've never been during the holiday season. I'm planning to purchase a dinner package for the late candlelight processional on the 15th. On the 14th, I'd like to see either Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party or the Osborne Family Spectacle of Dancing Lights. The party starts around 7 and ends at midnight, and the lights are turned on at 6 and the park closes at 8. My question is, in your opinion, which event is more of a must-see over the other and why?"
Good question.
That is a good question.
With the 2 again, it was
It's either
Osborne.
It's either the Osborne Lights or Very Merry.
Wow.
That's let me put this one out while you guys think about it. I would say if you've been to Not So Scary or even to a lesser extent Pirate and Princess, if you've done that, before. In this case, I would do Osborne Lights and come back maybe next year and do Very Merry. And the only reason I say that is because I think that if you've been to one hard ticket event, you've kind of been to them all. I mean, it's the same general idea, different theme, obviously. But if you've seen that, you kind of done it to an extent, and I would do something completely different if it was me. What do you guys think?
If I could only do one, I think I'd do the. I think I would do Very Merry.
Me too.
Only because it lasts several hours, whereas
Exactly.
Osborne Lights
Exactly what I was thinking.
Osborne Lights is maybe a half an hour of your time.
Okay, so that's it. You guys are 2 votes for Very Merry and
Yeah.
1 vote and Newell. Newell, do you have an opinion on the matter?
No.
Very nice. Time. Do we have time for another email, Mr. Newell?
One more.
One more. All right. Next email is going to be coming from Ralph, who writes, "Greetings, love the podcast. I'm a little behind. Don't know if this has been pointed out yet, but the chicken exit from Space Mountain is in the load area. Once you get past the control room, you decide either left or right, just before you get in the queue for the ride, there's an exit. My son, who's 6 at the time, used it before my wife convinced him, more likely shamed him, into getting on the ride. Just thought I'd let you know."
Oh.
That's classic.
And one last email, also another comment about best seats. This comes from Dr. Don Collignon, who writes, "While the front row is best for Everest for many reasons, I found that the last car gives you a better look at the Yeti. Front is best for first-timers. Last row is if you're looking for the details. And at Test Track, as Len Testa can tell you, it's mentioned in his book, you want to pay attention to which row you're in if you're tall."
Huh?
Len?
Yeah.
As in, like, there's more legroom in one of the rows in Test Track?
I believe it's in the front, but I'm not certain. That's a good question.
I think you're right, Len. I think it is the front row. I seem to recall is that there is more legroom. Plus, you can kind of put your feet up a little bit more over there.
That imaginary break.
Exactly, yeah.
That's right.
I hear the last row in Rock and Roller Coaster is pretty wild.
Yeah, Net's really big on that last row. She's a backseat kind of girl.
I hear it's nothing but good times. Yeah, exactly.
This episode of Walt Disney World Today has been sponsored by Annette and the good people at MEI and Mousefan Travel, who specialize in cruises and vacation packages to Disney and other destinations around the world. MEI and Mousefan Travel is an authorized Disney vacation planner and the recommended travel planner for allears.net. They provide their signature services with no additional agency fees. To get a no-obligation quote, just visit www.mousefantravel.com. Want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Grapefruit Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Your next vacation time is so far away. You're counting down the seconds every single day. What are you to do? Well, there's one venue I recommend you turn to, where your magic withdrawal will finally be cured. Spend 3 days a week with Super Walt Disney World nerds. You can depend on Matt, Mike, and WDW today. Oh, WDW today. Oh, WDW today. When you are in trouble, you'll find WDW today. Len will sing Van Halen songs and then he will provide plugs for touringplans.com and the unofficial guide. If we can dream it, then we can do it. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Matt's still convinced that you move on the hydrolators and eat Salud Jello for a box of Wonka bars. When you introduce your co-host tonight, please get their websites right. Even with nervous breakdowns, the words are non-stop. Forget Space Mountain, point him to the camera shop, or he'll just go next to that freaking bush to fill up Mouse Green. escape Animal Kingdom and stay at Scopa Towers tonight. Unfortunately, Scopa is right. WDW today. Oh, WDW today. Oh, WDW today. When you are in trouble, you'll find WDW today. They'll send you to Narcoossee's table for two, you'll have fun. Oh, yeah. They'll bulldoze Chester and Hester and rebuild Horizon. Listen on Wednesdays and maybe you'll hear last year's questions. Oh. But that's just part of what makes this podcast the best one. WDW today. WDW today. WDW today. Give them 5 minutes. At WDW today. WDW today. When you are in trouble, you'll find WDW today. Podbusters! But if you're looking for something short and sweet, who you gonna call? Podbusters! Well, there's human alarms and girls that love back seats. Yeah, who you gonna call? Podbusters!
I ain't afraid of Mount Jello. I ain't afraid of Mount Jello.
When you see wild animals and you think them's good eating, who you gonna call? Then Testa! When Muppets is the answer and Google is your friend, who you gonna call? Mike Newell! But your obsession with Bill, I guess you're hard to ignore. Who you gonna call? Mike Stopa! You can't open your eyes under a dinosaur. Who you gonna call? Matt Hochberg!
I ain't afraid of Mount Jello. I ain't afraid of Mount Jello.
Oh, who you gonna call? Podbusters! When your world is green, plug your iPod in, update. Podbusters!
I ain't afraid of Mount Jello.
But he's a devious fellow.
I ain't afraid of Mount Jello.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Who you gonna call? Podbusters! Yeah, from coast to coast they go. Podcast hosts just call Podbusters! to battle